Hello friends, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to discuss with you all chapter number 1 of class 12th biology CBSE curriculum, that is reproduction in organism. In today's video, I'm going to take up the following subtopics: lifespan, reproduction, types of reproduction, and types of asexual reproduction. So, before starting my video, I request you to please like and do subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon for the latest updates. As we all know that we have varieties of plants, animals and microorganisms around us. They have been existing on this planet since years together. And every individual organism lives on this planet Earth for a certain duration of time. Every organism has to die one day because death is certain. So the time period from the birth to the natural death of an organism is known as lifespan of that particular organism. So what is lifespan? It is the period from birth to natural death of an organism. Lifespan is time period from birth to natural death of an organism. In lifespan, we will talk about only the natural death. We will not include death happened because of some accidents or any mishappening. So when we talk about lifespan, it's about the duration from birth to the natural death of an organism. So every organism has a specific lifespan. For example, elephant lives for about 65 to 75 years. Similarly, rose lives for 5 to 7 years. Crow lives for 15 years. Parrot lives for near about 140 years. Okay. Drosophila or fruit fly lives for 2 weeks. And banyan tree has a lifespan of about 200 to 250 years. Though we do have the banyan trees who lives for about 500 years, but the average lifespan is 200 to 250 years for a banyan tree. Okay, so this is about the comparison of lifespans of different organisms. So we say that every organism has a specific lifespan. That means every organism has to die one day. Now, the question which comes in my mind, is there any relationship between the lifespan of an organism and size of an organism? Let's see. If we compare parrot and crow, let's take these two organisms. Why I'm not taking these two organisms? Because they have almost comparatively similar size. Okay, so if we take parrot and crow having almost similar size, and if we compare their lifespans, as you can see above, parrot can live for 140 years and crow has a lifespan of 15 years. So we can conclude from here that size of an organism has nothing to do with the lifespan of an organism. So lifespan does not depend upon size of an organism. Okay, as you can see, the elephant has such a huge size, but its lifespan is 65 to 75 years, which is comparatively lesser than parrot, and parrot has a very small size. So there's no relationship between the lifespan of an organism and size of an organism. So friends, till now it is confirmed that death is certain and every organism has to die one day. Okay, so we can call every organism or individual as mortal. All organisms are mortal. Why every organism is considered as mortal? Because death is certain. It is unavoidable. Death is going to come in the lifespan of every organism at the end. Okay, but there is an exception to this statement. All organisms are mortal except unicellular organisms. Now, why is it so? Why are we considering unicellular organisms as immortal? Let's take an example. For example, amoeba, which is a unicellular organism. It has a irregular flexible body covered by cell membrane. It has a centrally placed nucleus and a lot of cytoplasm. This is nucleus and this is cytoplasm. Now, this is a unicellular organism, right? Suppose this is a parent amoeba. Now, this parent amoeba, after the birth, it grows and it gets mature. After the maturity, instead of dying, this organism undergoes cell division, as a result of which this parent amoeba converts itself into two daughter cells, identical daughter cells, which are known as daughter amoebae. So as you can see that once the parent amoeba matures, instead of dying, it gets converted into the daughter amoebae. The daughter individuals are produced from the parent amoeba and no parental part is left behind. No parental entity is left behind to die for. When nothing is left behind to die for, that clearly indicates that this organism is not dying actually, rather it is converting into some other form, maybe the next generation. So it is producing the next generation and it's not dying. So we consider the unicellular organisms as immortal organism. These organisms are immortal organisms. So this is about the lifespan, students. Now, as it's very much clear from this discussion that every organism has to die one day, so death is certain. When we are saying death is definitely going to happen, then how come we are able to see so many organisms around us? How we can see so many plants, animals, microbes around us existing on this planet? Why organisms are not getting extinct? Once if they are dying, why they are not disappearing? The only reason or the cause behind this is that every organism is capable of performing one of the very important biological process, which is known as reproduction. This is the only process which is performed by organism for the existence of the species. So now we are going to talk about the reproduction in detail. So students, as we know that reproduction plays a very significant role in the life of every organism, though it is not meant for the survival of any individual, but it is very, very important for the continuity of species from generation to generation. So let's define reproduction. It is the ability of an organism to give rise to young ones, which are also known as offspring or progeny, of their own kind. So reproduction basically is defined as an ability of an organism to give rise to the young ones, which are offspring or progeny of their own kind. So what do you mean by own kind? By own kind we mean that every particular species gives rise to the new generation of same species. Like dogs, when reproduce, they give rise to the puppies, and cats, they give birth to the kittens. Similarly, humans, they produce human baby. You cannot expect mango tree to produce oranges and orange tree to produce apple, because every particular species has a specific genetic design, and accordingly they are going to produce that particular similar species. So when we talk about the reproduction, in this, the parent and the new generation are of same kind, they are of same species, right? So moving on to the significance of reproduction, let's see what are the different significances. First of all, we all have already discussed this, that reproduction is the only way by which the organisms, they can retain their species, or the reproduction helps in the continuity of species of every organism generation after generation. So that is the first importance. It helps in the continuity of species from generation to generation. Secondly, reproduction is the only way by which the genetic makeup of the parent gets transmitted to the next generation or the young ones. So this is the process by which the inheritance of characters takes place. It helps in the inheritance of characters or body features or genetic makeup. Characters means inheritance of genes from parents to next generation. Then reproduction also plays very important role in opening up the scope for the variation. There is a one type of reproduction which actually creates genetic variation because of the mixing up of the DNA. The reproduction creates genetic variation. And you have already started in class 10th in the chapter Heredity and Evolution. When more are the number of variation, more are the survival chances of a particular organism, specifically in the adverse climate. So more and more are the number of variations, better will be the adaptability. For that particular organism or that particular species, right? So when reproduction helps in creating variation, the continuous variation or accumulation of variations over a period of year can sometimes also results in the formation of new species. So we can say the variation open up the scope for speciation as well. So accumulation of variation over a period of time creates origin of new species, and the process of origin of new species is known as speciation. So when there is a speciation, automatically it opens up the scope for evolution, right? So directly or indirectly, variation leads to evolution as well. Clear? So this is about the reproduction and its significance. Now, moving on to the type of reproduction. So students, now on the basis of certain factors, we are going to differentiate the reproduction into two categories. So based on habitat of an organism, like where do they live, internal physiology of an organism, needs of an organism, variety of needs, and mainly number of parents involved. So on the basis of these factors, we classify reproduction into two categories, that is asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. So let's find out the differences between the two types of reproduction. First of all, as the name itself says, asexual, where A means absence of. Absence of what? Sexual means gametes or gamete fusion. Okay, so in the asexual reproduction, there is no involvement of gametes, that is no fusion of gametes. Clear? Similarly, in the sexual reproduction, fusion of gamete is involved. When we say the fusion of gamete is not involved here in the reproduction, asexual reproduction, it's clearly understood that there is no fertilization. But in sexual reproduction, fertilization takes place, or fertilization occurs. Clear? The number of parents involved in asexual reproduction is only one. Just a single parent is involved. So it is known as uniparental. It is known as uniparental. That is, only single parent or one parent is involved. Okay? Here two parents are involved, so it is known as biparental. It is biparental. That is, two parents. Two parents are involved. Moreover, The fourth point is that in asexual reproduction, as we know that single parent is involved, so whatever is the genetic material of that particular parent, only that type of DNA is going to pass on to the next generation, right? So when single parent is there and similar DNA of the parent is going to get into the body of the new generation, obviously that all the young ones are identical to each other, right, and to parent. In what respect? Genetically, that is in terms of gene, as well as morphologically. Right? Because the young ones are same as that of parents, similar to each other also, to their siblings. That's why we call them as clones. They are known as clones. Because two parents are involved, so there will be a mixing of DNA in the sexual reproduction. So when there's a mixing of DNA, the chances of similarity between the new generation and the parent is quite less because of lot of variations, right? So young ones are different or not exactly like parents, because they do have some new features or variations or some sort of, because there's a blending of the genes of both the mother and the father, so there's a chances of having new features also in the body of a new generation. So they are not same as that of their parents in terms of their appearance. Okay, so this is about the basic difference between the asexual and the sexual reproduction. Other than this, in asexual reproduction, mitosis is the cell division which is commonly involved, but in the sexual reproduction, meiosis is the cell division which is involved. Alright, asexual reproduction takes place in the lower organisms like bacteria, or in protistans, unicellular organisms like amoeba. It do occur in the plants as well as animals. In the plants we call asexual reproduction by different name, that is vegetative propagation. And there are some simple bodied animals like hydra and planaria, they do undergo asexual reproduction. But sexual reproduction takes place only in the case of complex body designed higher plants and animals, right? Simple body design organisms really undergo sexual reproduction. So this is about the difference between the two. Now we are going to talk about asexual reproduction and its type in detail. As we have already discussed the basic points of asexual reproduction, like it's uniparental because the one parent is involved, and young ones are known as clones because they resemble each other and the parents exactly. Most commonly the cell division involved is mitosis. Alright, so no fertilization is involved or no gametic fusion is involved. It's kind of an easy process, easy and fast process compared to sexual reproduction. So asexual reproduction is mainly seen in the case of simple bodied organisms. The lower organisms like monorans, like bacteria, protista, for example amoeba. Even the plants also undergo asexual reproduction. right? Some of the plants, they do perform asexual reproduction, but in the case of plants, the asexual reproduction is known by a specific term, that is vegetative propagation. Right? There are some simple-bodied animals which do undergo asexual reproduction, like planaria and hydra, etc. Right? Now, we are going to talk about asexual reproduction in detail. For that, we need to know what are the different types of asexual reproduction. So, when we talk about the types of asexual reproduction, we have mainly 6 types of asexual reproduction as per the NCERT. We are going to talk about fission, right? We will be talking about budding. Then we'll talk about spore formation. Then there is a fragmentation. There's a regeneration. And last one, the very important one, vegetative propagation, which takes place in plants. There are different types of vegetative propagations as well. So we are going to talk about those later on. So under fission, we will be talking about binary fission and multiple fission. Okay, we'll be taking the examples individually for each of these and then we'll explain. Under budding, we'll be talking about budding which is seen externally, that is external budding, and internal budding. Okay, so we'll be talking about spore formation in algae and fungi separately, then regeneration, fragmentation, and vegetative propagation. Right? So students, I'm going to discuss about all these types of asexual reproduction in my next video. So please don't forget to like and do subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so that you get the latest updates of my channel. So students, hope you all have understood the topics I have discussed. Thank you for watching my channel.